Welcome. You're listening to Jay's Analysis. This is the Jay's Analysis live stream, Esoteric Hollywood. Welcome. And let me turn off my own damn stream. How's everybody doing tonight? Can you hear me? Am I loud and clear? We have 0 watching. How do we have 0 watching? There should be quite a few watching. What is going on here? Can you hear me? Maybe it takes a minute for the stream to get going. 8. Stream to get going. Yep, there we go. So, we're catching up here. We are doing Jay's Analysis live stream. And everything sounds good. Good. Nope, it's not Blood Sports. This is Esoteric Hollywood. I haven't done Esoteric Hollywood in a long time. And that's because I've been so busy. We've been doing all kinds of crazy things. And got some really crazy new projects in the work. And the new book. And no, we're not going to talk about flat earths. You're just going to get banned. Here we go. Here they come. Can't do anything on my channel without these people. And they're just going to immediately get banned. So, the Jennifer Lawrence is in this new movie. I picked 3 movies and people were mystified. Why are you going to talk about these 3 movies? Well, because they're the movies that I recently saw. If you talk flat earth, I'm going to ban you. So just know that. Yes, and they do actually relate. These 3 movies do have a connection. And the connection is, well, I'm sick. That's why I have a hoarse voice there, commenter. The connection is propaganda. And all 3 of these movies, I just went and saw Blak Panther, and I was in my traditional African garb, and there was 3 fat black girls there, and they were cracking up because they thought that I looked good in my traditional African garb, and nobody else was in African garb, so I was the only one that really honored the spirit of Wakanda by attending the movies in traditional African garb. And I had my Malcolm X outfit on. I had my Malcolm X hat, one of those like Kwame style hats, and the black girls thought it was funny. And I did see Red Sparrow as well. So coming out of sickness, these are the 2 movies I've seen. And in the midst of the sickness, I saw Hackers, and I thought, these movies all are relevant. We're going to get into dissecting each one of them. And they are all different kinds of propaganda. So I thought it would be illustrative to see 3 different kinds of propaganda. One, obviously, the new Cold War. This movie is not a very good movie. Red Sparrow, I'm speaking of here. We're going to get into the details of it. But before we get into the details of it, this is an interesting clip. I'm not sure what to make of it, but somebody sent me this, and somebody is arguing that maybe Jennifer Lawrence actually has an alter ego. I had not really thought about it, but I suppose it is plausible because here she is playing a spy, and of course we will be talking about Angelina Jolie as well, who has many times played a spy, and she is the lead girl in Hackers, this other piece of shit movie. But Hackers has some very bizarre stuff in it that is worth discussing. But first, let's play this clip here of Jennifer Lawrence talking about her alter ego. Now, maybe she means this as a joke. She may be kidding. It may just be a ha-ha thing. Or maybe she actually at times lets loose this alternate persona. Maybe she's been traumatized. Maybe she's in some way a victim of mind control. And I guess everybody in Hollywood to some degree is, right? Or in this pop culture. But she plays the feminist now, and she's this crusader for women and women's rights and all this nonsense. But let's hear her talk about her alter ego that she calls Gale.
Include them in the show.
Okay, cool.
That's on purpose. Do you want me to turn?
Scary.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
Do you not want to see them?
No, it's fine. Just keep smiling.
Okay.
Be supportive.
So, first of all, the movie is fantastic. Portia and I loved it. We watched it and said, this is like a good old-fashioned spy thriller that the way movies used to be made. And I just love it. I think you're great in it, and I think the movie is fantastic. So I highly recommend it. I think it's fantastic.
So much.
And it comes out today, so now you're officially on vacation.
Yeah.
And you have an alter ego when you go on vacation.
Yeah, I can't go on a vacation right now because like I just can't deal with Gale. Like I need to rest before Gale.
Okay, why did you name her Gale?
I didn't. She almost named herself. I think my girlfriends probably named her Gale. Mm-hmm. Just by the way I look. And it's a very specific drunk too. It's not just like every time I'm drunk I turn into this. I think she's like some sort of like tortoise gambler or something. Like I don't always turn into this masculine alter ego that like jumps into shark-ridden waters just to make my friends laugh. My friends were like, that's like too far, Jen. Like, no, not funny. It's not every time. I think it might be rum, which is what I brought up to Colbert because the only time I drink rum is on vacation.
Well, you're on vacation. Bring the rum.
Anyway, I'm not going to torture you with any more Ellen, but she goes on to drink and they laugh and ha ha. Now, I don't know. Maybe that's just joking around, or maybe she actually has some kind of alternate identity in the case of Gale, as she calls it. But anyway, so, we've got our top Hollywood young star here, Jennifer Lawrence, the big A-lister now, who obviously has gone from Hunger Games to the big leagues and being now the face of all of these stupid causes. And let's remember, Angelina Jolie has a very similar trek. Jolie, her father, John Voight, who is supposedly this right-winger. Yeah, right. Give me a break. He stars with her in that other piece of crap Tomb Raider movie. But what's weird about those Tomb Raider movies is, as stupid as they are, they both include parts 1 and 2. All of these references to the Illuminati, right? Everybody is probably aware of this, but they actually filmed some scenes in the movie. The Illuminati meeting place is actually one of the Royal Colleges in London, if I recall. It's like the Royal Naval College, I think, is where they film the Illuminati meeting in Tomb Raider. But isn't it interesting that Angelina Jolie was playing these roles? And of course, prior to this, she had some fairly dirty roles in some Showtime Skinamax type movies. And then she gets Hackers. And this is a weird one because Hackers is, as we'll see, a kind of techno-punk propaganda, kind of prepping the way for the internet age. And if you remember in the 90s, there were all those Hackers movies, right? There's tons of them. And Keanu himself, Keanu was in a couple hacker movies, and he's in Johnny Mnemonic, and then that kind of sets the stage for him to play the ultimate hacker role of Neo in the Matrix. But anyway, so back to Red Sparrow. So now this is relevant because they've enlisted the top A-list girl to play the Russian spy in the latest propaganda film. And if you've watched a lot of movies, you know that Hollywood is constantly doing anti-Russian films. Russians are always the villains in the movies. They're always the ones behind bombing shit, and they're always the terrorists. In the James Bond films, it's always Russians. If you saw any episodes of Blacklist, how many episodes of Blacklist had Russian villains, right? And so it's no longer Arabs, right? Arab villains, that was all the 90s, and True Lies, and then 2001 happened. So it's the movies always picture the real geopolitical enemies at the time in some bad way. Go back to the Tom Clancy stories, right? It's always Jack Ryan facing off against all the evil Russians. Now, we here at Jay's Analysis, we know that the evil Russians aren't really the evil Russians, that Bolshevism and these systems were exported to Russia through the Warburgs, through the banking interests in New York and Wall Street and London. Trotsky was given gold by these bankers, Schiff and Warburg, right? And many of the Bolsheviks obviously had Zionist-style commitments down the road. I don't know about the first generation of Bolsheviks, whether they were Zionists per se, but eventually, of course, this hatred for all things Russian, and so they were not really Russian. They were, many of them Zionists, not all, but a good percentage of them. And I think Dr. Richard Spence's new book covers this in more detail than Anthony Sutton's books covered it in the past, actually. So we're at modern day Russia with this story, and this story is, there's so much propaganda in this movie. It was over the top, really. It was kind of blowing my mind. And she is the Russian ballet girl. And of course her uncle, there's going to be spoilers. I'm going to spoil this, but I'm going to spoil it to dissect it for everybody. Because it's almost like stuff I've talked about. It's crazy. Like this. Okay, so her uncle is SVR. He's Russian intelligence, and he's some higher up running all the spies. You know, he's right underneath, Putin's number 2 or something like that, right? Which they don't actually have Putin as the character, but the guy who plays her uncle, the head of SVR, he actually looks just like Putin. So they literally chose a dude who looks just like Putin on purpose. You know they did. I think I have a picture of the dude in here somewhere, but anyway, so she gets her leg broke by this couple that wants to be the head star swan in the ballet, right? So this couple, the guy who dances with another girl and with her, conspires to break her leg. So they break her leg. She doesn't know what she's going to do. She doesn't have the money. Her mom's sick, of course. So what happens is the SVR head, the pseudo-Putin, pseudo-Putin, he gives her a job, and he says, you come work for us. I'm going to send you to State School Section 4. And State School Section 4 is where you go to learn espionage, assassination, and sexpionage. So she goes to Ho School. And now the first thing that pops out to me here is, okay, this reminds me of a documentary that I saw about Stalin's NKVD sex spies. And it seemed to match up with what's in that documentary. And Stalin actually employed a couple actresses. Did you know that? Did you know Stalin employed famous actresses as spies? Yes. The problem I have with this, though, is that at the same time as she is sent off to her sex operative school to become a sex spy, the CIA guy, who's the so-called good guy, is simultaneously trying to bust up some kind of operation and run different spies in Russia. And so his life is contrasted with hers, right? He lives this kind of nomadic lifestyle, and he's a good guy deep down at heart, and he's fighting for what's right. And she is a ward of the state. She is the property of the state. Her body is owned by the state. And so then this Rosa Klebb type character, if you've ever seen James Bond, this is straight out of James Bond, where they bring in Rosa Klebb, who is this hideous lesbian. What is she? I don't know what they call the teacher at State School Section 4, who, why on earth they would get this nasty woman to teach the arts of sex? That's like, remember Dr. Ruth. it's like Dr. Ruth is teaching sex at the Soviet school. So I mean, they intentionally accentuate the absurdity and the ugliness of it, and everybody just wears gray because it's all, we're not commies anymore, wink wink, but Russia's all still a bunch of communists. And so she's teaching everybody sex arts. She looks like she's never had sex in her life, but she's the hideous lesbian. And she tells them that you have to be ready to sleep with anybody, and you got to do anything. You got to degrade yourself, and they degrade each other at school. So it's basically porn school, and they film each other. Everybody gets filmed in their sex acts. The movie is somewhat graphic. It doesn't show a whole lot really, but it gives you the impression of all this. So she doesn't do too well, except she figures out that she can see through people, right? So she's really good at what she does because she has the ability to see through people. Now, my problem with this is that simultaneous to this, the CIA guy is out there helping people. So Russia brainwashes you to be a ward of the state. You're an agent of the state. You have to be a hoe for the state, and this is required of all spies in Russia. And the CIA is noble, and they're helping free people. Oh, come on. I mean, does anybody in Hollywood think that, I guess the idiot people in America still buy this kind of stuff, because we do have a lot of boomers, we got a lot of normies, we got, people who grew up in the Cold War, and they believe this bullshit that, that the CIA is there for freedom, and this is how Russia is, right? They're degrading poor Jennifer Lawrence. Now let's stop and think about this. Jennifer Lawrence is in this movie stripping down and being involved in pseudo porn acts, right? Hollywood is degrading Jennifer Lawrence, and she's obviously she's complicit in it. Nobody's forcing her to do this. It's not Russia that's degrading people and putting out this material. It's Hollywood that's putting out and who is the Hollywood intimately tied into? The CIA and the Pentagon, right? We just did that documentary starring myself and Oliver Stone, I should say. Very proud of that. And it talks about the Pentagon's long relationship with the CIA and Hollywood. Now, what is the Pentagon and the CIA's role in degrading women through Hollywood? And yes, there's a Mossad, obviously, Zionist element in Hollywood. I'm not denying that. But the majority of the big blockbusters, they're made in tandem with the Pentagon, you see. Zero Dark 30, American Sniper, Argo, blah, blah, blah. And so this is just another one of these long line of ridiculous propaganda films. This movie is nothing but Cold War propaganda. And they even say that in the movie. The lesbian Rosa Club teacher says, "We are in a new Cold War. This is a new Cold War. We have a new Cold War." And so in the midst of porn classes, she's sitting there talking about how it's the new Cold War, and the Americans are weak because of social media. Yeah, that's kind of true. And so she says that Russia can now take over the world because Americans are weak through social media. So now, wait a minute. Does that mean now that Facebook is a Russian plot? Did Facebook work together with the Russians to weaken American morals? I mean, if we're at that level of propaganda, we might as well say so. So here they are in their porn classes. Boy, don't they look alluring in their sackcloth. They look like they're going to, in the Eastern Bloc, prom night. This is prom in the Eastern Bloc in 1989. So anyway, so the movie has all the typical spy shit, and then I don't know why they're using hard disks. I mean, this is supposed to be modern day, and the discs, in spy movies, everybody's after some disc with some shit on it. And they're using little 3-inch hard disks from like 2003. I don't know why, but that's apparently what's going on. And so Jennifer Lawrence you get lost in the plot of the floppy disks. I don't know why they're using floppy disks. But eventually she outsmarts her uncle. This is the whole point of the movie, is that she, as a super master spy, of course, only being like 25. Yeah, right. She outsmarts the entire SVR. Why? Because she had a taste of Uncle Sam. That's why. She got a taste of freedom when she screwed her CIA guy who was trying to flip her over to the good side, right? So she got a taste of that, of Uncle Sam's cock, that freedom that comes from Uncle Sam's cock, and that changed her, right? And you know how us Americans are virile, and we can switch anybody over, and we can flip even a Russian super spy. And that's the power of freedom, baby. Didn't you know that was the power of freedom? So freedom converts Jennifer Lawrence, J-Law, over to the good guys, and she doesn't defect. You see, this is how she's an even greater master super spy than anyone else. She's even greater than the head of the SVR, pseudo Putin himself, and she frames him, her uncle. So stop and think about this. So her uncle, who has this very prestigious position, and who actually doesn't do anything that bad to her, he helps her out, gives her a job. Granted, it's not a great job, but I guess he could have maybe tried to get her a better job. I don't know, maybe get her to work at a cell phone store or something, but he thought that she would be a great super spy. So he was kind of right, because she was. But again, this is the thing. Uncle Sam frees people, and Uncle Sam frees women, you see. This has a very pro-woman message. She is used for her body, and it's Uncle Sam who frees her, right? So all of the other nations out there in the world, they're just primitive. They are backwards, and only Uncle Sam and Uncle Sam's egalitarian, feminist message of Coke, Pepsi, vaccines, and abortions will spread to the rest of the globe to bring freedom. And that's the message of this stupid movie. Now, it's called Red Sparrow, again, yes, to evoke the Cold War, and to the glee of all neocons and Fox News watchers who think that it's still 1982 or something, who watch The Americans. If you've watched The Americans, right? This is what they think is going on. This is still happening. We got to watch out for all these Russian spies, and it's just utterly stupid. I mean, if you knew about the election this year, okay, so this is where the election fits in. You know how stupid this is. This is utterly retarded. The Russians did not hack the election. The Russians didn't get Donald Trump elected. This dumbass movie just fits into that stupid Democratic Party plot, right? And who's the Democratic Party working in tandem with? The CIA, obviously, right? Robert Baer is going to come on CNN with his buddy George Clooney and Morgan Freeman, and they're going to tell us about how the Russians stole the election, right? I can't really do a Morgan Freeman accent, but think about that stupid PSA, right? Of how the Russians are going to get us, and they subverted our democratic elections, right? This movie is just another layer of propaganda. So, did it include some mind control? Yeah, actually it did, because she gets put through the ringer. I mean, she goes through whore school, which is basically sex-based, trauma-based mind control. That they do show in the movie. So, that part, I would say, yeah, that goes on probably. But then, it's the whole thing is just, when she gets a taste of that good old Uncle Sam dick, we have the ability to turn anybody over to our side just because of freedom, man. And that's what's so frustrating, is that this message of freedom, it doesn't even make sense. Freedom from what? From the tyranny of the state? The American state is the most tyrannical, surveillance-obsessed, crazy thing ever. They're way worse than anything in Russia. They're way worse than anything else. And look at the cameras in England. Think about how every corner has 50 freaking cameras sitting there spying on you. Think about how the NSA steals and tracks everything you do. The cloud is nothing but a giant theft operation, right? To steal your ideas and your info. The entire Western world is built on stealing information and spying. What a fraud. What a sham. And so the only difference between us and Russia is that Russian methods are just older. They don't have all of the same NSA capabilities. So this movie is terrible, and it's dumb, and it's stupid on top of being dumb. So anyway, that's what we have to deal with. So I haven't watched a movie in a while. I haven't done Esoteric Hollywood in a while. And then when I come back to movies, I see this dumbass movie, and it's basically like WWF. It's like when Hulk Hogan is wrestling with Nikolai Volkov, right? I should have queued up a picture of that. I didn't think about it. But yeah, so here's our Jennifer Lawrence playing the same thing that Scarlett Johansson does in her crap Marvel movies as the Russian sex operative. And it's the most transparent propaganda ever. If you saw that Jack Ryan movie, remember that? That was terrible. And in that one, it was like, watch out for Russian Orthodox churches. If anybody goes to a Russian Orthodox church, they're planning to bomb the stock market or something. Come on, man. Unbelievable. So let's talk about this other piece of shit. So Hackers is dumb. And people were saying, don't diss hackers. Don't diss hackers. This movie is pathetic. This movie is awful. But it's funny awful. And so that's its redeeming quality, is that it's actually funny to watch. Where are my notes? I have Hackers notes, and I was cracking up making these notes. So you get... Now, the reason this is relevant, as we said, is that it kicks off this period of the 90s and Hackers. And, you know, remember Lawnmower Man and Ghost in the Machine and Johnny Mnemonic and, oh, what else? There's a whole bunch of these. None of these are any good, by the way. I can't think of one hacker computer 90s movie that actually is good. But you started seeing in the 90s the hacker. You know, he's like a new character in everybody's team. You know, if you watched, remember Sneakers, the movie with Robert Redford and Dan Aykroyd, and you know, that's kind of a 1991 or 2 hacker movie, and that's actually about the NSA backdoor technology, if you remember that movie. But in Hackers, this kid, Johnny, what's his name? I mean, that's his real name. He's Zero Cool. Zero Cool is his character. Zero Cool. And he's a child hacking prodigy. No surprise in this plot here. And he crashes Wall Street with his virus. And so by the way, yes, it does have a good soundtrack. It reminds me of in the 90s. It has Orbital and has like the whole soundtrack's Prodigy, right? So if you liked Prodigy in the 90s, which I did, and you watch this movie, you're going to feel like you're in the 90s again. But what stuck out to me wasn't even all this gobbledygook nonsense about hacking and tech. It was the fashion. The fashion in this movie is freaking weird, dude. And why do I say that? Because it's all about cross-dressing. There is a crazy cross-dress theme in this movie that you are not expecting. So that threw me for a loop, because Angelina Jolie is the super feminist. Her mom is a feminist author, and she is a secret super hacker named Acid Burn or some bullshit like that. And Matthew Lillard is part of her crew, and he looks like he's playing John Lennon playing Princess Leia. I'm not joking. He has like Princess Leia ponytails and John Lennon glasses, and he wears women's clothes. And then there's another, I guess he's a gay black guy. I don't know, but he wears women's clothes. And then Angelina Jolie's fantasy in the film is for the blonde-haired Eminem-looking dude to wear a dress. I'm like, what is going on? And then I realized, oh, this is the cyberpunk thing getting started. This is like, nomad cyberpunk, the blend of the different like techno pagans and the stuff that was getting just started in the 90s. And this was being put into the movies to prepare us for freaking tranny, transvestite, social justice warrior 2018, where we are now. So I will give this stupid movie some credit because they did seem to have a notion of the fact that where we would be headed in our tech dystopia would be nobody being able to figure out men's and women's clothes. And that comes up over and over in this stupid movie. They're constantly referencing guys wearing girls' clothes and girls wearing guy clothes. And here you see Matthew Lillard as John Lennon as Princess Leia. You're all through this movie. You can't even pay attention to the plot because of all of the gender confusion. And of course, Jolie has her boy hair. Now, this is interesting because I told you, if you've listened to Jay's analysis for a while, that I had a date with a girl one time who was a CGI movie person. And she did the CGI for Angelina Jolie's Maleficent movie. And she said that Angelina Jolie was a complete lunatic and would mandate that they redo all the scenes in the movie that had pink. I'm not joking. Because Angelina Jolie is so lunatic feminist that she literally goes to war against colors. I'm not kidding. Can you believe that? That's how crazy this woman is. She is engaged in warfare against non-existent enemies that are colors. She wants to go to war against the color pink. What a lunatic. Who goes to war against colors? Well, total crazed left social justice warrior cult members. That's who. And that's who Angelina Jolie is. And I want to remind you that because her earliest days, you see, in film began with her playing feminist characters. So she went from playing feminist lunatic characters to being this Council on Foreign Relations stooge. And it's not accidental, you see. It's not accidental that she went from the world of Hollywood to the CFR, right? Which is arguably above the CIA in many ways. And that's what she does now. She is this operative. She is a humanitarian, quote, operative of this mess of the New World Order. I mean, you can't get more globalist operative than this. But isn't it interesting that she began in the exact same mindset and role as this? Now, this actually is another layer, which is interesting because in the movie, she's leading the resistance, right? She's the leader of the resistance. And they are taking on the man. They're taking on the system. That's partly why they're wearing women's clothes and everybody's confused about their gender, all right, because they're fighting the man. And how else do you fight the man than becoming a damn tranny, right? We live in this era now. Like the pinnacle of fighting the man is to get your dick cut off. What a bunch of dummies. What a bunch of idiots. You are the most controlled, brainwashed zombie if you think that. And that's what's funny about this is that in this movie, the revolutionaries the revolutionary hacker brigade that they've all started together with their Commodore 64 fat little laptops that ain't no way they're going to be hacking the Pentagon or whatever. They are part of the system, right? That's what I'm saying. Is like this movie is presenting to you fake revolution once again. And this is a theme that we're going to see over and over and over, right? There's the fake commie revolution of Red Sparrow, right? And we're supposed to be afraid of the threat of the Russians everywhere. In hackers, we're fighting the man. We're fighting the corporate. I don't know, who are they fighting exactly? Some tech security firm. Well, in reality, hackers go to conventions to get hired by the DoD. Hackers aren't fighting security firms. And another reason I brought it up is because of her playing this exact same role as Jennifer Lawrence in that stupid movie Salt from 4 or 5 years ago. And in the movie Salt, she literally is trained by Melissa Mela, who is a CIA operative. So Angelina Jolie has literally had CIA operative training, and it's public. We know it. What better example of Esoteric Hollywood than this? So she's had her mind control, her training, all her degradation and all that. And who did it? It wasn't Russians. Russians didn't degrade Angelina Jolie. She did it through Hollywood and all of her bad decision making that she made in her life, right? And now she's a humanitarian crusader for what? For freaking Hollywood and the UN. Look at how phony this is. What a bunch of bullshit. This is the path to the system is being anti-system, right? Do you see what I'm saying? But being anti-system in the way the system wants you to be anti-system. That's the key here. And so Angelina Jolie is just another version. Jennifer Lawrence is the next Angelina Jolie, is what I'm trying to tell you. And they're giving her the roles that they gave Angelina Jolie to be the exact same. She ain't nothing but a damn propaganda whore. So Hackers. By the way, Hackers features Penn Jillette. Interestingly, Penn has this kind of small. I think it's supposed to be a comedic role. It's not very funny because there's nothing in that movie that's very funny. But he plays a tech guy. And isn't it interesting that Penn and Teller have supposedly one of the largest collections of satanic books? Now Penn and Teller say, oh, that's because we are atheists. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know. But they do have a giant satanic book collection. And this movie, which I will say in 1993, I think, 1994, it mentions the NSA. That's interesting because not many movies had mentioned the NSA, 1991, 92, 93, 94. Sneakers did. Sneakers is a plot about the NSA. Enemy of the State did. Some X-Files episodes early on actually mentioned the NSA. But according to, most of the public, the NSA was not known to exist. It was kind of unheard of. Nobody knew about the NSA. It was this conspiracy theory thing. If you talked about it, there's no such thing as the NSA. Ha ha ha, what a dumb conspiracy theorist. And another weird part of this movie is they do all this weird stuff with public phones. And I think in the old school hacker tradition, hackers used to do this. They could touch little dial tones and do things on public phones, like get free 25-cent calls, I guess. I don't know what you can really do that's that great from a public phone, unless you're like, a super mega hacker. And then you get recruited into the NSA, and that's kind of the plot of this one, was that they do try to recruit the kids, and the kids fight the man, right? So it's a very diverse crowd here, right? The Italian kid and the gay guy and the black guy and the feminist and the white guy. So thank you for the diversity there amongst our hacking crew. I would have been offended if there wasn't proper diversity. Where's the black girl hacker though? Wait a minute. No black girl hacker. Don't worry. There'll be plenty of black girls in Wakanda running shit, baby. Running everything. Men, sit your ass down. Sit your lazy ass down, because the sisters are taking over Wakanda. They run that shit. You don't. Should we move on to Wakanda? There's Tomb Raider. There's Angelina Jolie. Tomb Raider. So, yeah, Hackers was fun for reminiscent 90s, and, you know, break out your Hot Pockets and your Surge and your Lickamade and whatever else you're going to do while you're trying to hack into the Pentagon through your CD-ROMs, through your Tomb Raider CD-ROMs, because not much there, other than the all-seeing eye and the guy mentioning the New World Order and the NSA. Not much in this dumbass movie, but it did show a little bit of predictive programming and conditioning for social justice warrior land. That's what I'm getting at. Hackers, I want to start saying that John Adams is right, that it's a combination of hacker culture, or like 90s movie hacker culture, mixed with punk, right? Cyberpunk. That's where social justice warriors come from. That's where these crazy lunatics come from, is this idea that the internet age is like going to replace all nation states and cultures and people groups, and that's all going to be wiped away, and the freedom-loving hackers are going to save us. The libertarian anarcho hackers will save us from the NSA, and they're going to use Bitcoin to save us and all this garbage. I'm pro Bitcoin, by the way. I think you should own cryptocurrencies, but come on, they're not going to save us. They're not Jesus, as these people who go around preaching that Bitcoin is Jesus. Give me a freaking break. What an idiot. So fresh Panther of Wakanda. So this movie, oh my gosh. Oh, poor black people. What is wrong with y'all? Oh, black people. Come on, black people. Now, I get a free pass because I was on the Worsty stream and there was a beige black dude on there and he was laughing at my jokes. So I get a free pass. You can't attack me, SBLC, YouTube. You can't destroy me. I have my free pass from the beige black man. And the beige black man said, I'm good. He was laughing. That's proof. Just like Sarah Silverman, I can make all these kind of jokes and get away with it just because, right? So what do we think about this? Well, where to start? I didn't really want to see this movie, honestly. Not because of black people or anything like that, but I'm sick of these stupid-ass comic book movies. They're awful. They're all the same. They just keep making the same comic book movie over and over and over. And I guarantee you, the only reason this movie is 97% thumbs up on Rotten Tomatoes is because people are scared of being called racist if they didn't like it. Now, it's not the worst movie ever. And it wasn't that racial. It was, I mean, in terms of like anti-white, it kind of was anti-white because the guy with the plastic hand is the skanky British dude, is the kind of bad guy at first, right? The spoiler alert. But it wasn't that racial. It was pretty racial, but it also kind of poked fun at black people. I mean, if you're hyper racially sensitive and you're a black person, I can't see how you would like this, because there's all kinds of stuff in there that would be like, I don't know. I don't know. But so what's the plot here? So basically there's Purplesaurus Rex pop rock power inside of a mountain in Africa. The Kool-Aid Mountain in Africa has Purplesaurus Rex pop rocks inside of it that are magic, and they're called something like vibratorum or something like that. I kept thinking of vibrators every time they talk about it. I think it vibrates or something. And so the pop rock vibrator magic dust can do all kinds of super cool stuff. And so the black people can't actually create their own culture. They have to have magic pop rocks inside of the mountain. And it does all just kind of anything cool you can think of. It just does it automatically. It like makes shit and it makes shit fly and it does this and that. And the prince of the Wakandans. So Wakanda is basically Blak Atlantis, right? So there's Atlantis in ancient Greece, and this is Blak Atlantis. This is like, I'm not talking about Atlanta. If you go to Atlanta, it's also Blak Atlantis, but this is Blak Atlantis with like UFOs, but not, I was calling them UFrOs. Get it? UFrOs. So they're like flying around in a UFrO, and you know, they got telekinesis and all kind of crazy shit going on in Blak Atlantis. And it is hidden behind a hologram, and it's a breakaway civilization. So Wakanda is Blak Atlantis, breakaway civilization, and it's like Galt's Gulch, dude. It is Galt's Gulch for black people, which isn't that segregation? I don't know. It sounds like it, but I guess if you're black, you can have segregation, right? So if you don't know what Galt's Gulch is, that's in Atlas Shrugged, where behind the hologram is the breakaway civilization for Ayn Rand and her Alan Greenspan and her friends to go back there and smoke cigarettes and be atheists or whatever they do there in their imagined better than everybody else party. Well, here it's the black people better than everybody else party in Blak Atlantis, and they are mad because the rest of the world wants in. And so in a weird twist of propaganda in this Disney movie, they start asking the question, should Wakanda open its borders to refugees? So the blacks that don't want other tribes coming into their land, perfect Galt's Gulch of Blak Atlantis, are racist, right? They're closed-minded because they won't open up the border, and Wakanda is hidden behind a giant hologram. Simultaneous to that, the evil colonist, this is where it gets racial, the poor white man evil whitey has stolen Blak Atlantis's, a shard of Blak Atlantis's power, and he's got to be stopped, and he's working together with another pissed off black dude that has the right to the throne, he thinks, right? So this is a Lion King kind of story. There was a lot of Lion King in this too, by the way. I started noticing, which I guess makes sense because this is Disney, right? And so you're watching this and you're like, this is Lion King plot mixed with every other freaking Marvel movie. And how are black people supposed to be proud of this? Why would you be proud of this? And I'm watching the TV, like the news, when I went to eat lunch, and the news is touting how like blacks have won. Like the whole culture war is over. Black people have won now because Oprah was in A Wrinkle in Time and because Blak Panther is out. So black people have won. You've won. It's all over. All of the victories are now yours. And what a joke. So you think that getting this dumb Marvel movie was your victory? The media is playing you. Don't be stupid. It's not a victory to have this dumbass movie, which is actually insulting, by the way, because the movie presents nothing except magic pop rocks as the source of your power. What a joke. Pop rocks. And then there's like a whole tribe of gorilla Africans. Come on. I can't believe the people making that weren't mad about that. Like, how is this not insulting? I mean, it's mind-boggling, really. Like, to think that this is a cultural achievement. Not actually building something, not actually doing something, but a bunch of CGI crap on a screen that makes you feel better about what? What do you have to look forward to as a black person after seeing this movie? What? That Disney made $1 billion from it? You don't get anything from that. What do you get? You didn't get anything but freaking getting trolled and getting agitprop thrown in your face about how the white man has screwed you over. Well, guess what? It's not just the white man. Other black men have screwed you over, because slavery in Africa wasn't just white dudes. It was tribe by tribe enslaving other tribes. And guess what? There were Chinese slave traders. And guess what? There were Arab slave traders. And guess what? There were Jewish slave traders. And yes, there were white slave traders. So how are you going to divvy up your anger and the chip on the shoulder on the basis of white people when the whole freaking world engaged in chattel slavery? And the movie does contain quite a few, anti-white slave references, right? But no Chinese slave references. Oh no, Disney would never go there, would they? Why is that? I wonder. No other people groups engaging in slavery. No, only the skanky British dude with one arm, who's the kind of halfway villain for the first part of the movie, right? And then Nick Cannon, or I don't know who that black dude is, but the dude that looks like Nick Cannon with the tiny dreads, he takes over as the main bad guy, and he wants to set off the Black Panther army in the rest of the world, is his nefarious goal. And the black people are going to be the new colonialists, is his plan, and they're going to trample down Whitey. Well, number one, Whitey isn't the only person in the world to, quote, trample down. I mean, why is it that all the movies are about trampling down Whitey, right? Why is it that the black man's enemy is Whitey? Why do you think that is? Who's putting out that message? Hollywood. I wonder why. And you just, again, stop and think about this. So you leave this theater, you've given your money to Disney, this giant SJW government corporation that's mind controlling the whole country, and you go home and you feel victory and you're all happy about Wakanda. It's just sad, really. I mean, it's sad that black people fall for this stuff and they get all hyped up about this. And there's all these idiots on YouTube, literal We Was Kangs people that think that in Egypt they were flying around in saucers, and that white men, if you had saucers, why didn't you wipe the fuck up with the white men? If the white men didn't have Foo Fighters and how could Wakanda have ever lost, right? Or ancient Egypt to a bunch of white dudes with swords when you got a damn space battleship that you're going to nuke them all with, right? Come on. But people are literally believing this stuff from like terrible YouTube videos, like black dudes in their basement making YouTube videos about how there were, Joseph Farrell space weapons in Egypt, but it was actually run by black dudes. And this is being hailed as a victory of black culture. They're like doing, when is Wakanda, right? You go meetups and workshops. What are you going to be talking about here? This isn't real. It's almost like they're inventing a fake history, like Kwanzaa or something, a fake mythology to rile up black people. And you say, oh, people aren't getting riled up. Yes, they are. Remember at the Super Bowl? Remember how Beyonce can be Blak Panther, right? And dancing around, talking about getting riled up and you're going to overthrow the oppressors. And, she's literally hearkening back to this, right? And somebody was I don't follow Jay-Z and Beyonce, so I don't know, but somebody said something about how they're part of some like black religious cult now. So now Jay-Z and Beyonce are in on the We Was Kangs stuff, supposedly. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I hear. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this stuff all kind of goes together. And these groups are fake, man. I'm telling you, they're fake as the KKK is fake. That's not a real thing. That's all a bunch of feds. And this is just as fake. The Black Panthers were taken over by the FBI like in the 60s by Richard Aoki and all his informants. They're not anti-establishment. And maybe Stokely Carmichael was for real, but these people aren't. Maybe Huey Newton was, but the modern day, Beyonce doesn't give a damn about you. Nor does Oprah. Oprah and her eugenics operations, and she wants all the black people dead just as much as David Rockefeller does, right? So all of this stuff is just total nonsense. And you have to be dumber than dumb to believe this stuff and to fall for this and to be provoked by this is what I'm trying to say. And the same thing happens amongst idiot white people. I'm not denying that. There are plenty of people run by feds amongst all the white crowd. But I'm trying to tell you it's the same for the black, the radical black movements, right? They're just as much run by feds as are the Klan and the radical white crap. And if you're a black dude, I would be pissed at this because the whole movie is run by these damn women. The only black dude who does anything is the prince, but all he does is kill one bad guy and get the shit beat out of him. The elite Grace Jones guard is who basically does everything. So what is this saying? Well, this is saying that black men are lazy and they have to have the black women doing everything because they won't do anything. What kind of a country is that? Black dudes ought to be pissed at this movie. Be like, no, I can run my own damn life, my own house, run my country. I don't need women bitching at me, ruling over me. But no, this whole movie was nothing but a social justice feast, insulting to black people and black men especially. I can't imagine anybody liking this movie. It was stupid. And it wasn't even that good of a superhero movie. And I don't like I'm sick of superhero movies. But Captain America was a better movie than this movie, just on movie grounds. Man, so many stupid things you could say about this. But anyway, I'm rambling. I've said, I think, the essence of this movie. This movie, in sum, is just another kind of version of propaganda. It's another playing on a desire that disenfranchised people feel like they need a voice in Hollywood, and so when they get this big dumb movie, they feel like they've achieved something, and we won, right? Like we got coming to us. Now, you felt that way with Obama. What did Obama get you? Nothing. Worse and worse and worse situation. And now you've got your movie. So what? A bunch of stupid CGI pop rock bullshit, right? That is not going to get you anything. Now, there are some really awesome Orthodox black saints that you could look into if you're a black dude, which would be a lot more impressive and a lot more useful than this crap. But as for this, no. This was like Coming to America or, Fresh Panther of Wakanda. That's all it was. Anyway. So we're being just smashed. Just every freaking movie, every freaking show is just smashing us with just propaganda and just the dumbest stuff. And everything is going to be comic books. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to create, I've been saying this, the theme parks are going to turn into worlds based around these comic books. And they're probably going to have Wakanda. And I'm telling you, 30 years from now, 20 years from now, people are going to go live in comic book worlds. I don't know. It's going to be a giant, weird mind control test tube, but that's what's going to happen. And there's going to be Westworld, and there's going to be Harry Potter world, and there's Star Wars already being built right now. They're building a gigantic, massive Star Wars park in Disney because Disney owns everything. And there's going to be Wakanda, and watch out for Wakanda. Don't watch your wallet in Wakanda. I'm joking. But that's where we're going, right? we are going into total synthetic crazy land. And they're probably going to be like race wars. Like the world of Wakanda is going to have a race war with all the fat white nerds in Star Wars land. You know what I mean? Getting beat up by the black nerds from Wakanda. And they're going to fight the perverts in Westworld or something. I don't know. But here we are in total crazy land. And it's all propaganda to mess everybody up. And every one of these movies, Space Justice Warriors, Star Wars was terrible. It was nothing but the most SJWs in space feminists. That's all that was, right? Purple-haired feminists in space. And the women run everything. Now, I grew up watching Star Wars, and I am a little sickened by the fact that my white culture is all run by white women with purple hair in Star Wars, right? And if you're a black dude, it's all a bunch of women running. But actually, that was in old slave manuals. Did you know that old slave manuals talked about getting the women to run the household on purpose to keep the men weak? That's actually in slave manuals. And here is a giant Disney slave manual telling you that the black women run the black man culture. So black people should not like this movie, and nor should white people, because it's dumb and it's offensive and stupid and it's absolutely no culture. So my ultimate message here is, okay, let's set aside all the propaganda and stuff. Every one of us could have a real history and culture through the truth, through the Bible, right? Through Orthodox Christianity would be a great place to start, which is actually growing in Africa. That would be a real way to have an identity, because everybody wants an identity, right? You don't have to give up your identity. You can keep your culture within the overarching truth of Christianity. God made us to be different people to worship him. That's what the apocalypse says. Every race, tribe, tongue, and nation worshiping him. That is our unity and our source of difference and distinction and diversity. God did not intend for us to all meld into a giant blob, right? So we don't have to have the UN to try to save us. And that's what this movie was ultimately about, was the UN. Wakanda, right, is going to participate in some sort of positive relationship with the UN, we're left to believe. Give me a break. The UN is a giant depopulation operation. So, that you're not going to get that in this movie. So, I don't know. This is about everything I can think of on this topic. Somebody sent me a super chat that says $5 for $2. Thank you, Carlos. That makes no sense. It's actually kind of funny, though. A super chat for $2 that says $5. So this is my analysis of these three movies. We got a good audience here, almost 300 people. We got up to that 300 or so. This went a little quicker than I expected. So I guess I could take some questions from the audience here. People in the chat. We covered Red Sparrow, Hackers, and Blak Panther. And what do we give Red Sparrow? I'll give Red Sparrow 4 KGB stars out of 10. A 4-star KGB Jennifer Lawrence general out of 10. Hackers, I'll give Hackers 3 floppy disks for Angelina Jolie's 1 floppy titty. And what do I give Fresh Prince of Wakanda, Coming to Wakanda, starring Eddie Murphy? I will give that 4 Pop Rocks. 4 Purplesaurus Rex Pop Rocks from underneath Kool-Aid Mountain. Do we have any questions in the chat? Do we have any questions in the chat? You can go back and watch the archive stream. You didn't miss Red Sparrow. You can go back and watch it. I already did a Blade Runner 2049 analysis. Go watch my video. When is the new book? I don't know because I have so much work to do, and I'm speaking in London. I will be speaking at Alternative View 9, May 4th through something. So if you're in London and you want to hear, or in Milton Keynes, if you want to hear me speak, I don't know. It's probably sold out by now just because I'm so freaking awesome. No, I'm joking. It's probably sold out just because Alternative View usually sells out. But I will be speaking there, and I have to get ready for that. And there may be a new TV show in the works. I'm not going to say anything more than that. Maybe, maybe not. Yes, we did cover Illuminati symbolism in these. In Red Sparrow, Jennifer Lawrence does go through a kind of degrading sexual process, and it's kind of like her training to be a sex operative, which there's probably some truth in this. So that's, quote, Illuminati, and she's mind controlled, obviously, by her handlers. She gets tortured, obviously. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention that the CIA doesn't torture. Oh, but Russia does. Yeah, right. CIA has like 50 plus black sites all over the world where they torture people. But in the movie, the CIA helps her not be tortured by the evil Russians. Yeah, right. Hackers, yes. As I said, the all-seeing eye comes on the screen with the security firm dude. The bad guy is the guy who works at the security firm with Penn and Teller, or Penn Jillette. And he gives a speech about the New World Order and hackers, actually. And the all-seeing eye pops up. And then in Blak Panther, is there Illuminati symbolism? Kinda. I mean, you know, like all the Marvel movies, they're all kind of the same, where there's the gods. Oh, and by the way, if you're black, you're supposed to worship your ancestors. Okay, so black people worship your ancestors. White people, I guess, in the Marvel universe, they worship the gods. Okay, so like all Disney productions, every religion is good and tolerated, except Orthodox Christianity, of course, right? That's the one that we got to get rid of. But hey, you want to worship your ancestors, you want to worship the gods, you want to do human sacrifice, you could do any of that, right? That's all kosher, that's all good in the Disney world. Just don't have Orthodox Christianity. So anyway, anybody else have any questions? We got a good audience here still of 250. Fancy London. Yes, I will be speaking it. It's not actually London. It's Alternative View is somewhere else. Yes, that was a good point. I mentioned Oprah being in that and A Wrinkle in Time. And I was watching the news before this movie, and they were just, headline news was having like a blackgasm, right? They were like, "We're black people, we won everything, we got everything. We won the world lottery because we done got this movie and we got this other movie and Oprah's in it. And we won. Right? I mean, it's like when black people were crying when Obama won, right? And they thought they won, right? And what did they get? Nothing. So, I mean, come on. American Orthodoxy. What do I think? American Orthodoxy is pathetic. American Orthodoxy is a merodoxy. And so, what else can we say? And anyway, so I think we're coming down to the end of it. Will I debate Michael Voris? Why would I debate Michael Voris? That dude is a goofus. Debate him on what? I mean, that would make my view look really good, right? If I wanted to debate some goofus. What do I think of the optics debate Ricky Vaughn, Stryker, and Enoch had? I did not see that. I have no idea what they debated. What is my stance on Elder Ephraim? Everything I know is that he's a great elder. I think there's is there controversy over whether he wrote everything he said he wrote? Maybe something like that. I have no opinion on that. I don't know. I'm not studied on that matter. Yeah, American Orthodoxy is pathetic, man. It's like Rod Dreher. Could you get more awful than Rod Dreher? That guy's awful. Pathetic. Dude, get out of my face. Thank you. Good show. Appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. What do I think of Farrakhan? Actually, if you're asking there, we have a talk on Nation of Islam. James Kelly and I did a talk on the Nation of Islam. That's obviously a total fake Fed thing. Thank you, Teft Pattern, for your comments. I have some. Is it a sin to be racist? Actually, no. There's nowhere in the Bible that racism is mentioned as a sin. Can you find a place in the Bible where racism? No, you can't. And in fact, the Bible quite consistently makes stereotypical statements about different people groups. Cretans are always liars, right? Paul is concerned for his kinfolk in Romans 9, 1-4. Jesus talks about not giving bread to the dogs. Dogs was a pejorative term for goyim. So guess what? Even Jesus is fine with racial comments. I know that's hard for people to hear. We just can't hear that kind of stuff, can we? Who makes useful content for this age? I do. That's Corey Bernier's super chat. If you do want me to read some more questions, you can send a super chat. We got a couple here, not many. Twin Peaks season 3. I don't know. Are you asking me to do I have a video and an article on Twin Peaks season 3. For the full treatment of Twin Peaks season 3, you will have to get my book, Esoteric Hollywood 2. Who makes useful content for this age? Well, most of the shows that I go on, I think, are useful content. We at Alternate Current Radio, we put out a good bit of content. We do Boiler Room. We do 21st Century Wire. Patrick does, at least. I go on Tim Kelly's show a lot. Tim Kelly's podcast is good. I go on Hoaxbusters. John Adams's podcast with Chris is good. I've been on Red Ice a zillion times. Red Ice has good content, although I'm not a pagan. I don't know. I mean, you can look at the shows that I go on that I think are good. What happened to your interview with Tim Kelly? I don't know why Tim uploaded an old interview. So it didn't go anywhere. He just double uploaded an interview. So the interview that you were listening to was an interview that the last one we did like a month ago. So it's still on his wall. It's still there. I think he accidentally probably uploaded the wrong file and then realized it and deleted it and put up his new show. So I don't think Tim was getting rid of it because it's still there. That's a good question. Do I ever talk about the Freemason police connection? We have not talked about that in a long time. It's been many years since we have talked about that. It's been a long time since we did like specific Freemasonry talk podcasts. Probably been a year or 2, 3. But that is something that should be talked about. There is obviously a clear connection between fraternal order police, Masonry, especially in the UK. The police are like totally Masonic. Like they wear Masonic outfits, right? I mean, that's what the UK police do. There's no denying it there. In places in Canada, the police headquarters are even giant Masonic buildings at certain places in Canada. So there's a lot to explore there, but just another way to have secret brotherhoods to be corrupt. That's all that is. Who is my patron saint? Great question. When I was Roman Catholic, I chose Augustine. Obviously, going into Orthodoxy, I've not specifically taken a new saint yet. And there's a long story for that. I will go ahead and do that, though, very soon. Partly because I've not, for 10 years, lived near an Orthodox church. So I've had to make very long, sparse 3-hour journeys to go to the Divine Liturgy. But I'll be moving in the next year, and I will be near a church. So it'll be a lot easier. And I am deciding on either Photius, Saint Photius, because of his debate and because of his education and because of his forcefulness in opposing the filioque, which is, kind of appropriate for me as a writer and an apologist and so forth. Or I'm going to take somebody from the Bible. I can't decide if it's going to be Photius or somebody from the Bible. Something like that, probably. And if it's from the Bible, it'll actually probably be somebody from the Old Testament. It'll probably be somebody like Daniel, Joseph, one of the patriarchs, something like that. Have I checked out recent Russian films? I did not know there are a ton of Orthodox films. That's awesome. No, this is new to me. I should be aware of this. Thank you, Michael, for this super chat. I'll have to look into that. I know of like Branded and Russian Ark. These are kind of fairly recent Russian movies. I don't know that they're not really directly connected to Orthodoxy per se, but they did have good messages. I did watch Rublev. Rublev finally was really good, very deep, very allegorical. It should have its own treatment eventually. But yes, I will eventually get to Andrei Tarkovsky films. I apologize for not doing that yet. It's just so much to do. But we was Kangs, but not we was Mangs. I don't get that, but that was another super chat. So anyway, if there's not any more super chats, I think we'll probably start calling this an evening. My mom is gay. Good one. Yeah, never heard a cut down of that level. My mom is gay. Good one. So thank you all. Be sure to check out Jay's analysis. Get my book Esoteric Hollywood. Signed copies are still available. Sad that I wasn't able to make it to the ACR Summit and the South by Southwest trolling event that we had planned. I was too sick. And I'm awaiting the rescheduling of the debate with JF. Don't know when that's going to be. It'll be soon. I'm waiting on them to give me the date. I've said when I'm free. They're just coordinating and picking a date. So that'll be in the next few weeks. The best Bible is the Orthodox Study Bible. Everybody asks me that. That's a great study Bible. It's the best one, hands down. And anyway, so thank you for tonight's show. Hopefully it was funny and it was fun and entertaining. We had a good audience, almost 300 at one point. That's good for a live night. And thank you all. And Merry Christmas.